So let's take a look at the 81 kilo weight class at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics held in 2021. There are some big matchups and a lot of people that can beat other people, but the draw is really going to affect who comes out on top. But let's take this just kind of one bracket at a time. So let's jump on in here into Pool A only. And let's take a look at who we have as like star contenders here in Pool A that can make some noise here. So we have the number one player, Casse from Belgium. We have the Russian. And there are two other players in this area that I think could really make some noise. We have Antoine from Canada, who I believe could actually come out and win Pool A. It's not unheard of for him to have some of these big wins. It just depends on how healthy he is going into the bracket as we're going through this. So really what you have to pay attention to is how much wear and tear is going to hit his body all the way through the bracket. And he has a tough first round with the Greece kid, but I do think it's an easy win for him to just say, Canada's pulling that one out, no problem. Just like, again, the Kyrgyzstani against the Russian, it's a tough match, but it's one the Russian should be able to pull out, no problem. Up here for Casse, I think it's very easy for me to just say, you know what, when I look at, who he has, like, in his, like, little field of people that he has to go through to get to the quarters, the only one who really stands out is the Swedish kid, but I think they're just on different levels. And unless, he comes out with something crazy, I think we're just going to see that. That's just going to be what happens. And then we're going to go like that. And then I think right here, we're just going to see the Swedish guy come through and win those first two matches. No problem. Those two players he should outclass with relative ease. The only thing we really got to talk about is what happens here, Canada versus Russia. It's a tricky matchup. I really do. I want to say that, Canada knows what they're doing. They've kept him healthy. And I want to do this. And I'll explain why in a second. I think when I look at Belgium and I look at the Canadian, I see a very tough match for the Belgium guy to get through, because I've seen through watching the division over the years, Belgium struggles with distance, right? As the match goes into golden score, he tends to struggle to create a lot of that offense in order to throw his opponent or pin his opponent. Antoine, just from my experience, he's very difficult to get on the ground. Belgium guy wins some matches on the ground, so I think I give the edge to the Canadian there. When it comes to the gas tank and their ability to go longer distances, the Canadian is going to win it. The question just becomes, can Casse from Belgium score early enough or get ahead on Shido's early enough so that when it goes into those longer waters, he either ends the match at the 4-minute mark with a score on the board because he got it early, or he goes into golden score up 2 Shidos to 1 in order to get a Shido turnout so that he ends up winning that match. But I do think it's a great matchup for the Canadian, and I kind of want to just do that. I kind of want to just think he's going to be on his A game and he's going to be able to pull that off. But I will say, just on record, if Russia wins this match and ends up here, Belgium's coming over. Stylistically, I just think Belgium wins against the Russian, but he has a greater chance of losing against the Canadian. But let's jump down here into Pool B, because we have another headache for the division. And I'm just going to highlight him here in yellow because he's world champion. Let's actually come up here and highlight Antoine because he's an Olympic medalist, world medalist, that is going in here unseeded. But so when we take a look at this draw, or this part of the draw, right, Pool B, it breaks up into the two categories here and then down here. And when we look at these by themselves as individual parts, I think it's very easy for me to just say, you know what, I'm just going to put DeWitt from the Netherlands all the way into the quarters. The reason being is I think the German's going to come here, and I think the German's a tough match for him. But like I said, he's a tough match, not an impossible match. And I think he pulls that out pretty easily. Here, though, we're going to have an upset come through. Not here. We're going to go Hungary over Egypt. Italy versus Hungary. I don't think it really matters because what I want to do in my own head is this. I want to put Nagase here versus the Netherlands. Because then we have another kind of interesting flow of just being able to pay attention to how divisions turn out. I'm going to go Hungary like that. This is interesting because when we're here, if I advance Canada into the semifinal, this match is super, super important because if I put the Netherlands here, right, if we go back and I say Netherlands comes up and plays this bracket, we're going to end up putting Canada in the final. But if I take Japan and put Japan here, Japan goes to the final. Just stylistically for the Canadian, I think he just does not match up well with the Japanese. And I think we saw that in Rio where the matchup wise, like these two just can't be in the same quarter if we want to see the Canadian come out. It's just, sometimes in judo, just the way you do judo doesn't mesh with the other guy, and it always gives him the advantage. But I do think when we're looking at this, I do think Japan has trained their people very well and on home soil. So I am going to do this. I hate to say it. We are going to advance him all the way through. And now the crazy thing is now that I've done this, just talking about this bracket here as I'm thinking through it, with Japan being here, if Belgium wins, I actually put Belgium into the final, right? So if we pick a different color here, let's go with like bright purple. If Belgium actually comes through to here and Japan goes here, I think I put Belgium into the final. And I think if Belgium can overcome Canada in this matchup, I think regardless of who wins here, we see Belgium in the final. I just think the Canadian, if he plays tactically smart, he overtakes Belgium in the way this draw is looking to me right now. But the way I'm going to lay it out and the way I think it's going to play out is we're going to see Japan hit the final. But let's come down here because we have some more kind of upsetting stuff to kind of talk about and go over. So again, we're looking at Pool C here, okay? Because there are a couple of, if we look, let's change that color. Let's go back to our red. If we look at this bracket as a whole and this bracket as a whole, there are some definite like uh-ohs to pay attention to. The guy from Portugal here is very dangerous. He's very explosive. He's very strong. He can be a challenge for the Israeli to get through. So I think what I want to do is put Muki over, and then I'm going to put Portugal over because I think that's going to be a seriously tough matchup. for Muki as we're looking at this bracket. And then once we're in this division, the question is what happens here? I really want to do this just because I think his judo is more sound. It doesn't use these. I feel like the guy from Portugal, when I watch him do judo, he's more into that 50-50, like, hey, I could throw you or I could end my day. And he plays in that realm a lot. So I'm struggling to get him all the way through the bracket. Like, he's just going to keep going for these crazy strong lifts, not burning his muscles out, not getting countered, and make it through the bracket. He's done it in the past, but I just think when it comes to the Olympics, consistency is key over the long term. So I think I just want to, I'm going to throw Israel over here. But let's talk about this one a little bit because there are a couple of players here that can upset, right? The Bulgarian went into the 2016 Olympics as the number 4 seed, right? And then we have Lucenti here that's been around for ages. I think he actually fought in 2004 Olympics at 73 kilos. So he has tons of experience, but I don't think he's going to be able to pull it out against the Bulgarian. And I think we just have to go here. And then I think Uzbekistan wins here. No questions asked. And the question just becomes, can Ivanov beat the Uzbekistani? It's really a toss-up. I think the Bulgarian's been off his game. I think he rose a lot coming into 2016. But after that games, I think he's been on a slight downcline or has kind of like maintained, and he hasn't really improved. So I'm going to do that just for that reason. Not because of the matchup. As far as I know, he always beats him, and I'm just completely off my rocker. But I'm going to do that. And then because I've done that, I think it makes an easy decision for me to put Israel here. Stylistically, I think the matchup is really good for him. And he'll be able to get his Sodes and Osodos working against that style of player. But let's come down here into Pool D. Because as we're looking at this, I think, again, like, let's just look at this half of the draw where the Georgian player has Nassif from Lebanon, who was originally trained in Brazil. And then we have the Korean Lee, who he never really, like, made it into the bracket, if that's the right Lee I'm thinking of. So, you know what? For me, I can make this easy for everybody. And I'm just going to push Georgia through. No problem there. But we do have a guy here to challenge him, because when we're looking, again, at this bottom side of the draw, the only one that really presents an actual problem for Mollaei is the Azerbaijani. But it's a tough match. It's not like the Mongolian is going to be going into this going, how am I going to win this? He's going into this with oh man, that guy's going to be really hard to beat. But he is thinking, I'm winning. I'm not, how am I going to win? So I think it's easy for me to just do that as well. And then we can fill out the rest of this with everybody else. I'm going to go with Tajikistan here. I'm going to go with Korea here. We're going to go Georgia. Goes all the way through. Mongolia. Goes all the way through. And then I'm going to go Azerbaijan. Goes through. And then I think this is going to be a fireworks match. Like, we're going to see some crazy explosive judo out of these two coming through. But I want to just put it out there that, you know, I almost want to see the Mongolian come through, just because he is a refugee that has left Iran because of everything that's gone on. And he's took place in Germany. He lived for a little bit. Now he represents Mongolia under asylum. And I think it would just be worth putting him all the way into the final just because of the story that it would create and what he's gone through to get to where he is. But he hasn't competed a lot over the years, just because of everything he's gone through. So I think for that, I have to put the Georgian all the way through here. I just think there's something to be said about competing and being competition sharp. It has nothing to do with judo. It's just the more you compete, the better you are at competing. And then once we're here, man, this is going to be another firework show. Somebody's getting thrown free pone here. I just don't know who as of right now. Let's fill this in so it's not distracting me. Boom, there you go. Korea's coming over. Bulgaria's coming down. Perfect. And now we have Japan in the final. And when I look at this matchup, I think the Olympic champion, looking at this, with Japan in the final, is coming from down here. So I think this match is going to decide who wins here. But I think the guy from Belgium, I don't know. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I don't know why. I'm just doing it. I'm not even going to talk myself out of it. We're just going to throw his name up there. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So then we have Georgia crossing over, Canada crossing over, and then down here we have Mongolia, Uzbekistan, Netherlands, and Belgium. So this is what the repechage is going to end up looking like. We have Belgium versus the Netherlands, Uzbekistan versus Mongolia, and then we have in the bronze medals, we have Georgia and Canada waiting to see who they're going to face to secure a bronze medal. And I think what we're going to end up seeing is Mongolia and Belgium. Just like that. And I think stylistically, I just have to pull the Mongolian down. I just think the way he does judo and how unorthodox it is and how much it's like wrestling, I think he has the physical capability, the awkward style of gripping to catch the Canadian in this particular matchup. And then when we're looking at Belgium versus Georgia, the Georgian's young, he's hungry, he's explosive, but the consistency, that's what I'm all about. We're going to go with Belgium here. So what we're going to see is this, and if we draw this over, what we have here is Belgium versus Mongolia. So that's how I think the 81 kilo weight class is going to play out. A lot of lines, a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people that can beat other people inside this bracket, and it can change with one match winning up here. It can flutter through the entire division just because of what it does mentally to the other players throughout the division. But I'm going to end it with Israel with a gold medal, Japan with a silver, Belgium and Mongolia sharing the bronzes.